Hello, everyone. Please forgive me. I'm a professor, so I'm used to lecturing, but I really hope that my slides are more interesting than during normal class. I promise we may not change the world, and we may not do anything about brains, but I think we will talk about something very practical and something you can relate to very well. So just to give you a brief introduction, I'm from the Department of Sports and Health Sciences. We're located in Olympic Park. We have about 2,800 students, 17 programs of study, and I'm a professor there in exercise, nutrition, and health. And I've only recently joined TUM. And we really care about integrating exercise and nutrition. As you can see there, we care about muscles, we care about bones, we care about adipose tissue. But one thing that I really want to focus on today is we care about what we eat when we exercise. So kind of, put you in this situation. You've just worked out. What do you want? Do you want this salad that's really nice or not? But that promises that you will lose weight and stay healthy? Or do you really want to reward yourself for this workout and dig in and eat this hamburger? This is a challenge I think most of us that work out actually face. There are practical reasons. Maybe that burger joint is really close by, whereas you have to go home and prepare the salad, or you're just really, really hungry and your body tells you, I need something right now. We do think that exercise changes how we eat, and we've done some research on this. We've looked at data. This is data from across North American adults, basically. And we've divided people into very sedentary people and very active people. And what we found is that not everybody eats the same. That's not very surprising. We found that as people become a little bit more active, they tend to eat healthier. But when people get really, really active, on the right side, they start to eat more unhealthy things like sugars, more energy, of that, but they stop eating more healthy things. So that's something we're a little bit worried. So if you take someone and make them more active, maybe we're actually not gaining the full benefit. We've done a very different experiment, but something that I think you can relate to. We went to our campus recreation center and told people, if you're going to work out, we have this device that we want to tell you. We gave them a little activity monitor. And what we really did is we told them, hey, there's some reward after you work out. You can have an apple or a brownie, something we can all relate to. But we didn't tell them that was the study about what they took. We really told them, hey, well, you have to wear this device while you work out, and we're going to measure how active you are, and after that you can have one or the other. We just need to plan. So we did that before we exercised, and some people, we did the same question after they returned the device. So they didn't know. They couldn't think about during exercise or anything. So we asked people, okay, do you want this or that, apple or brownie, or they could also choose nothing. And when we asked them before the exercise, about 80% of the people chose an apple. When we asked them after the exercise, that was down to about 60%. So more people were choosing the unhealthy food, even though they were doing the same workout, which tells us, yes, after you exercise, you do tend to eat differently. Well, why do we care about this? Does this brownie really matter? I think it does, actually. This is data from a colleague of mine, and they looked at people working out for 12 weeks. And you can see that a lot of people, this is weight loss. A lot of people lost weight. Some people lost really a lot of weight. Some people actually gained weight on the right side. And on average, people only lost about 50% of the weight that we were expecting them to lose. So it is a problem. That's the result if you eat more because you exercise. So that's something we want. If we want to get the full benefit of exercising, we should change something about this. So what do we do in the lab? Well, as you can imagine, in the lab, we do it very closely. We monitor everything. So we put people on a bike and make them work out for exactly 45 minutes, and we define what they do, what the intensity is. And because it's a controlled experiment, we also do the same thing and have them rest for 45 minutes. And then we draw some blood samples so we can measure their hormones that may impact what they eat. But what we really do at the end is we give them a meal and say, hey, here, take this meal, and you can eat as much as you want. And then we measure how much they eat. That's not a great approach because we can only measure this at one time. We can't measure at multiple time points. So we've started integrating some questionnaires where we can get an idea of what people really want. And that's what I'm going to get to. I'm going to skip this. These are some results that actually show that people change their mind when we ask them when to choose their food, but I really want to talk more about how we do this, and then you will see where we get, because this is where I would like to get you engaged into this research. So we ask them not true food questions, because if I give you some pizza, I'll tell you to eat. That's a question, but I can only ask this once. We ask them hypothetical questions that we can ask many, many different times at many different time points. So one of the questions we ask them, how much do you want? This is a slider, go from left to right. How much do you want to eat right now? We also ask them, how much do you think you can eat later? We take this information, we can assign amount, and that can be caloric content, that can be an amount of nutrients, etc. And then we integrate all of this and get an idea of how much someone wants to eat in terms of an amount preference for its specific category. And then we have a second set, which gets a little bit more tricky, is where we ask people to ask, do you want this or this? Two things. You have to choose between one of the two. That way, as you see here, you have a brownie or some fruit, and we ask these questions several different times with some different iterations. Sometimes we ask, do you want to eat this now or something different later? And again, with that, we can integrate. It's a yes-no question, so very easy, 1 or 0 are our results. We integrate that information, and again, we get different preferences for specific items or for eating at various time points, etc. And that way we can determine how much you want to eat right now and how much of a specific food you would like to eat, and also how urgently you want to eat, something that's important for us. So this is I like this approach, and we've produced some very interesting data with this. The problem is there are some challenges to it, otherwise I wouldn't be here. And the challenges, and don't laugh, we do this on a very basic system. We're scientists, we're not computer people. So we actually use an online questionnaire, but we build those questions ourselves. We have images of food that we show people, but every single one is a single question. So we have only a set amount of options. As a result of that, we only have a set amount of choices, and we have very narrowly defined food properties. For example, something sweet or something savory or something fatty or not fatty. But it is very limited. And the second thing is, because we do it in the lab, we don't always wear a lab coat, but still the researcher administers this, and we administer it at very defined time points. When we define the experiment, we say we want to do this, this, and that. So it is also very limited to our lab research. But what we really want to do is take this outside of the lab to apply to a real-life setting. So what we would like to do is, instead of using this questionnaire, even though it's online, we want to build this into an app where you can have not limited but indefinite number of choices. Again, the same parameters, but we can really play around with these parameters, maybe even introduce new parameters that you can choose from. That we can still use this app in our research, but also maybe start to bring it outside of the lab, that we can do it relative to research, maybe a day before someone exercises or a day after someone exercises, and so forth. And also something that's important for me as a researcher, we still need to have access to this data, get to it either directly or via a database. But what we'd really like to do is take this outside of the lab. So ideally, not just when we apply it in the lab, we can define what you do, but if actually use this as an app that also detects when you're exercising, so that we can predict patterns of when you're exercising, for how long you're exercising, how intense your exercise is, and relative to that, again, we can ask those questions. And in the very last step, this is kind of my dream goal, that we can actually generate real-life options. Instead of giving you hypothetical food, we can actually make this a real-life option by providing, for example, recipes or food options, and that ideally link it with a grocery API so that people can, or that this app can order the food for you. So you decide before you work out, you go work out in the gym, and after you work out, delivery service delivers all the ingredients or already delivers the food. So just to summarize, to develop an app on an iPhone or Apple Watch where we can visually display food choices with defined or random choices. Ideally, we'd like to be able to detect whether someone exercises and then export this into a database, and perfect would be if we could link this to a grocery API to build this into delivery of food. All right, thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you about this project more. I hope I convinced you. get this?